Okay, we're back once again, the Super Sucklord for season 2 of exotic potato chip reviews. Took a little break to assess things, to accumulate more potato chips, and what this video intends to do is, instead of just doing a straight review, I'm going to give a bit of an overview about what we've accomplished thus far and set some intentions going forward. Now, the first thing you might notice is that for the first time, I'm coming on here without a fucking stupid hat. And the reason for that is that my hair is finally growing back after my cosmetic scalp treatment. A lot of people have been asking, what the fuck was that all about? I wasn't going to say anything, but since you've asked, I'll tell you. I have been exposed to a lot of sunlight in my life. I've spent a lot of time on the beach, absorbing the rays of the sun instead of staying indoors and earning a living, and being a melanin deficient individual. Apparently I have some sensitive skin, and when you spend a lot of time in the sun and don't fucking put sunscreen on, you can develop some dark spots on your skin, and there were several of them on my scalp. And of course my first concern was that it looks gross because I like to wear short hair, and my vanity got the best of me, so it sent me to the dermatologist. The second concern is, oh fuck, what if this shit is fucking skin cancer? So I went over here to Future Bright Dermatology on Canal Street in Chinatown, and the doctor took a look at them and said, no, this isn't skin cancer, this is just from sun exposure. But she did go over my entire body with a fucking light and a magnifying glass, and she did identify this one teeny tiny little dark freckle that I wouldn't have paid any attention to, and she was like, that looks sus. So she removed it, stitched me up, sent it to the lab, and what do you know, it came back abnormal. So thank you to the due diligence of Future Bright Dermatology for catching that, because I never would notice that, and I could have avoided a serious health condition. So I highly recommend everybody go to the fucking dermatologist and have everything fucking checked out. It's totally worth it. Skin cancer is no joke. But these were benign dark spots, sunspots they call them, and I wasn't feeling them because I like to wear my hair short, and I wasn't trying to fucking go out there with all these fucking brown spots on my head. So I submitted to a treatment, which was basically, she put this sort of acid peel on all these little bumps on my head and then hit it with this liquid nitrogen. It was very intensive and felt fucking wild as shit. And then she did that several times, and then over the course of the next couple of weeks, they sort of scabbed up and fell off, and it just looked absolutely grotesque, and there was no way I was going to come on camera and let people look at that. So I got creative and put on a bunch of different fucking hats. You can see here, I'm actually going to have to go back. For those of you that were missing the hats, don't worry, they're coming back, because it was a mild treatment, because the doctor has to be careful not to really go too hard on these things, because she could destroy your hair follicles, and we don't want that. So you can see here, I don't know, I hope you can't see it, but you know, there was these sort of brown circles here, and she got about half of it, so I'm gonna have to shave my head again and go back and have her zap my scalp again, and that means you're gonna see more stupid hats, and I actually have some new ones sitting here in the chamber, so don't worry about that. But for the next couple episodes, until I get around to that, you're going to get to enjoy watching my hair grow. So that's settled. Now, going forward here, before we even start talking about potato chips, we have to talk a little bit about why the fuck I started doing this shit in the first place. And the reason is that I was offered cash bonuses from Instagram to make as many fucking reels as possible. And you'll be happy to know that in the last month, all the potato chip reviews that I did earned me a whopping $230. So thanks to everybody for their engagement for making that possible. Of course, that's a paltry sum of money and not really worth doing just for the money. I'm doing it now because of the fucking friends I made along the way, and we'll get to that in a minute. But what's real interesting about the Instagram Reels Play bonus is that it requires you to appear in the Explore page, so you can potentially go viral. But because it's so goddamn sexy around here all the time, I remain in a state of perpetual shadow bannedness. And it's really weird, because I look at all my analytics trying to figure out how I can fucking zhuzh the numbers so I can make as fucking, you know, as much money as possible doing this shit. And what I've noticed is that anytime there's like a woman or a girl, or it gets a little spicy around here, the views like triple. So like when it's just me talking about fucking potato chips, I get like, you know, 6,000-8,000 views. Whereas if my lady friend is here doing something cute, then it goes into like 24,000. So that's great. But on the other hand, if it gets just a little more sexy, then they take down the video altogether. So apparently, if you kiss somebody on the mouth with tongue on Instagram, they will delete your video and shadow ban you again. So my aspiration, so it defeats the purpose in a way. I wish they would just get their shit together. Why can't they just have like a sort of age-restricted content and just let it get a little spicy around here? It's so ridiculous because also they don't enforce these rules evenly, because I see on my Explore page all the time just an endless cavalcade of tits and ass, which is great. I want to see that. I like sexy shit. I would like to see more than that there, but it's such bullshit because they have the uneven way in which they police this shit. They actually flagged something of mine that just had some images of some men with bare chests with this toy drop that I just did, and I actually appealed it, and then they unbanned it. So who the fuck knows? But just to cover my ass, I've also decided to set up a YouTube page for this material. So as we go, these sort of seasons are based around the Instagram pay period. So once you put out all your reels for a month, all those are monetized, and then when the month is over, those are no longer monetized and you have to make more shit. So all those are going to come off Instagram, because this can't be a potato chip account. I was at fucking Blit the other day buying some paintbrushes, and I got into a conversation with the dude that works there. I was like, oh, what are you working on? What are you working on? I was like, oh, I make action figures, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, oh, let me see. So I sent him to my Instagram, and he had to scroll through like fucking a whole fucking several pages of some asshole talking about potato chips. And we can't have that. My Instagram is supposed to be for my fucking artwork. So I'm moving everything over to YouTube. I reformatted all the old videos, and though I'm going to try to take advantage of the YouTube monetization policies there, why the fuck not? So if you want to follow Suck Chips on YouTube, you can go to the link up top and follow me and give some likes and comments, because that would help me, and I would appreciate that very much. Wouldn't that be fucking funny if this is what I got famous for? So yes, if you're watching this on a particular social media platform like YouTube, you're like, why is he talking about Instagram? Or if you're watching this Instagram, why is he shouting out YouTube? That's the reason, because I'm fucking going pervasive with this shit to try to maximize my profits. So if you wanted to support that, that would be fucking great. And also, all the old shit is going to disappear off Instagram, so you have to watch it on YouTube if you wanted to relive the glory days of the Psychedelic Suck Chips review. Okay, now, going forward here, now that we've determined that I'm not going to get rich off of this shit because I'm never going to be unshadow banned, I realized that there was a lot of other value to be made here. And that was, like I said, the friends we made along the way. I have got so many people coming out of the fucking woodwork, new friends from all over the world offering to send me shit. Old friends, I got my buddy Data Dub in Japan, just sent me a big bag of Japanese potato chips. I was talking to somebody in South Africa. I got my friend from Thailand, brought a bunch of shit over, and I actually made a new friend, and he brought me this bag of chips. His name on Instagram is Collecting Candy. His name's Jason, and he's a snack historian. He's been on television several times. He lives here in New York City. Swell guy. He came over and he brought me a bunch of chips and snacks and candies and stuff like that, and we chopped it up. So now I have a new friend because of this, and that's great. So shout out to Collecting Candy for these chips, and I'm gonna eat the shit while we're on here. Now, this isn't a bag of chips I would normally choose. These are from Canada, and these are the first bag of chips that I've ever had from Canada. A lot of my Canadian friends have been raving about, oh, you got to do the Canadian chips. Well, send me some, motherfucker, and I will. And it's a dead giveaway that these are Canadian, because they got some French on it as well. The flavor is sweet chili heat, and the French is piment infernal, which sounds way more exciting than sweet chili heat. Now, I wouldn't normally pick these just because, I don't know, spicy chips. I like shit that's a little more weird and exotic than that. I like when they get kind of ambitious, but I'm going to try these anyway just to, wow, very vinegary, just to keep things consistent while as expected, these just taste like regular American barbecue potato chips. And to me, that's not interesting at all. I must say, after going through all these chips and just seeing what everybody in Asia gets to eat, it really, really makes me even more committed to my criticism of the American palate. The chips, I can't eat regular potato chips anymore. because of this experiment. I mean, some of the standouts. Now, I was harsh on a lot of these chips, but except for one or two that were really not good at all, everything was a worthy snack. The ones that really stand out to me were the Szechuan hot pot, the mushroom flavor, the garlic oyster, even though they didn't taste like oysters. It just bums me out about how unadventurous American snacks are. Kind of reminds me of this story. A million years ago, I was in Singapore. I was in a band, and the government was running some kind of cultural program, and they flew us out there, and they put us up in style. They put us in the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, which is kind of a pretty fucking racist name for a hotel, especially in Asia. But nevertheless, it's this 5-star hotel, extremely fancy. We were there for a couple of days, and I had a lot of time to kill. And they had this absolutely fantastic free breakfast buffet. You know, I would go up there, and they had very international city. So they had like all these different stations. They had like the Japanese breakfast. They had like the little fish and the pickles and the poached egg with the soy sauce in the cup. And then they had the Chinese breakfast, which was like, you know, steamed dumplings and little buns and dim sum type things. Then they had the Indian breakfast, which was like chutneys and curries and little breads and stuff like that. Fantastic, piled to the roof. And then they had the European breakfast, which was like a lot of different cured meats and cheeses and breads and jams and dried fruits and nuts. They had this incredible juice smoothie bar with just piled high with every kind of fresh fruit you could possibly imagine, things I'd never heard of. And it was incredible, all free. I mean, they also have the American breakfast, which was what you would expect it to be, but, you know, I could get that anytime, so I avoided that. What I would do is I go down there, and I would hang out for like 2 hours. I had my little newspaper, and I would go and I would have my little Japanese breakfast, and I'd let that, eat everything, let that settle, read my newspaper, you know, and then when I got hungry again, then I'd do the Chinese breakfast, eat that, let that settle in, read my paper, take a walk, come back, and go through all the stations and just eat absolutely everything that they had. One day I'm sitting there, and there's this American couple sitting across from me, and I can tell they're American just by the way they looked, you know, kind of unhealthy looking white people with the cargo shorts and the t-shirt with the football team on it and the hat. I'm sure they were wonderful people, but you could just tell that they're American. And just out of curiosity, I looked over there, see what they were eating, and I looked at their plate, and the stuff that they chose for themselves, they may as well have been fucking sitting in a Denny's in Oklahoma. It was like scrambled eggs, bacon, sausage, French toast, pancakes. I'm like, why the fuck did you come all the way to the other side of the fucking world if you're gonna eat the same shit you eat all the time and you're sitting around all this opportunity to try something new? And I don't know, I don't want to be too judgy or anything, but it just struck me as odd, you know, how just boring American food is. I'm very thankful that I live in New York City and have access to all of this shit because I happen to be a very adventurous eater. And it's really interesting doing this stuff. I didn't think anybody would really care, but it really goes to show about how this sort of commonality of food really brings people together. I guess that's like why so many of these cooking shows are so successful, because anybody can relate to it. So that's fucking that. That's where I'm at with my fucking potato chip show. Starting tomorrow, we're gonna start going through these bags. I've sort of organized it by category, so it's not gonna be entirely random this time. And we're gonna be continuing to make toys related to it. Please follow me on my other channels. I will see you very soon. Thank you for watching this fucking stupid bullshit.